Well, this was a pain that you had to do these over.
Yeah, there's something, a box on the other WCs that was supposed to fill in and it didn't, and I don't know.
Lucky it didn't do them all.
We think we might have to,
Oh,
so don't even need to knock on it.
6 o'clock, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. City of Anamosa City Council agenda, regular session, Monday, February 22nd, 2020, 6 PM, Anamosa Library Learning Center via Zoom. 1.0 roll call.
Crump,
here.
Smith,
Here,
Lockhart,
Here.
Zumba,
Here.
Stout,
Here.
Apron,
Here.
Note all members are present. 2.0 Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rebecca, would you give a brief update on how to address the council for those virtual that would like to?
Absolutely. For those who are been here a while, this is old news, but for those who are joining us for the first time, you will not be able to unmute yourselves. I'm the only one who can do that. So to let us know that you would like to speak to the council, you can do one of two things. You can either raise your hand, which you should be able to find if you're on a laptop on the reactions button, which should be at the lower part of your screen. If you click on reactions, you should see a raise your hand option. If you would prefer, you can also send me a message in the chat, and I will let you know once the mayor has opened it to the public that it is your turn to speak. And that's it.
Thanks, Rebecca. As we have some members who are also joining us through Zoom, I'll ask that all votes be tallied through a roll vote tonight. With that 3.0 approval of agenda.
move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, second by John. Any further discussion?
Smith,
Yes,
Lockhart,
Yes.
Apron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes,
Zumba,
Yes.
Crump,
yes,
Motion to approve the agenda before us carried unanimously. 4.0, motion to approve the minutes from the following meetings. 4.1, February 8th, 2021, regular council meeting. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alan, second by John, to accept the minutes as they were submitted. Any further discussion?
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
yes,
Apron,
Yes.
Crump,
yes,
yes,
Motion to approve the minutes carried unanimous. 5.0, public hearings. 5.1, public hearing on proposed maximum property tax dollars for fiscal year 2022. I will open the public meeting at this time. Have you received any inquiries from the public?
I have received no written or verbal comments.
Rebecca, is anyone
What?
trying to join us virtually or for,
Not yet.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
motion by Rich, second by Kay to close the public hearing? Any discussion by council? Beth?
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Motion to close the public hearing carried unanimously. 5.2, Resolution 2021-07, approving the maximum property tax dollars for fiscal year 2022.
Move to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Kay, second by Alan. Any discussion from the council? Any inquiries from the public? Beth, will you move forward with the roll vote?
Stout,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 6.0 proclamations, none. 7.0 old business. 7.1 resolution 2021-08, authorizing and approving a loan agreement, providing for the issuance of general obligation corporate purpose bonds, series 2021, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Kay. Further council discussion? Public comment? Beth?
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Motion to approve carried unanimous. 7.2 presentation of monthly project report from Schneider and Associates, Lindsay Beeman.
Hi all, there's a just an engineering update in your packet. I didn't have anything specific to direct your attention to other than we did want to include at this time, I hope you have in your packet, 4 pages that demonstrate turning movements through the roundabout.
Yes.
We really wanted to get this in front of you early on in the project because as conversations go with roundabouts, it's really important to understand how trucks navigate roundabouts, and so that you can see what that looks like ahead of time. Because so if you're looking at the first drawing, they're all the same roundabout layout, they're just showing different truck movements through it. But if you're looking within there, like the red and the blue routes, those are just showing a truck going northbound or southbound. The center line of those 3-line segments is the center of the cab, the truck, that as it navigates through, and the opposite left and right lines are showing the movement of the tires. So where the path of the wheels might be. What's really important to note is that if you're looking at the roundabout, there is the roundabout path that most cars would drive on, and then there's a center circle it's still gray in this picture. It's not the white center, the very center, but this gray circle, which is it. In all honesty, we should have made it a different color for you. And typically they are a different color in practice, and that is what we call a mountable curb. It is not intended for normal traffic to use, but it is intended for like the back half of a truck to be able to mount on so that it has a paved access to go around. So they kind of fits a little bit more crunched on a roundabout, but that's the intention, is also to keep the roundabout size big enough so a truck can get through. And the truck we used for this demonstration is a 48-foot trailer. So it's a fairly decent sized truck. It's not maybe the huge kinds you see on a truck route or on the interstate, but it is a pretty decent sized truck and trailer. The intention though is to not give the truck like too much space, because you start to make the entrance to a roundabout unnecessarily wide, then traffic isn't sure if there's supposed to be 2 cars side by side to get through it, or they might have too much space to dart across the intersection. This is all a balancing act. If you have input on that, if you'd like to see something different, now is a good time to do that. But otherwise, we want to make sure it's understood when you're looking through these, that when trucks later have to mount some curb here, there's a mountable curb, that is intended. And that is the point of the roundabout, so that there's not, negative feedback from the community that this is a surprise, or it looks, like it wasn't done correctly. This is typically a conversation that happens after it's built, that people don't like this, but that is part of the roundabout give and take, is how trucks navigate them.
Is 48 foot a pretty standard length semi trailer?
Yeah, they come one size bigger. So
Right.
yeah, this is pretty decent size for the area we're talking about.
What's the next size bigger from 48 that you might see?
The 53-foot trailer.
Could a 53 foot make this? It would just be a little more difficult.
It would probably make it. It'd be tighter. It might hit more curbs. You can tell how it gets uncomfortable probably through there for most truck and trailers.
Are most communities you design roundabouts for the 48 foot trailer normally, or it just kind of depends on
it
where it's at?
depends. Yep, it depends on the intended use of the route. Like I said, if this was a highway where you saw truck traffic, or if this was a truck route, or if you had a trucking facility nearby at all, we would definitely be accommodating that truck route. As this is, we know that there is a truck driver nearby. That's what we're going off of, is that, and not the intent that there's going to be a heavy amount of truck traffic through here.
Yeah, there'll probably be deliveries out in the commercial park, or to Boomerang trucks, that sort of thing. But it's not like down on 30 where through Mount Vernon, stuff like that. But
Are you talking about a day cab, or is this a tandem axle tractor trailer?
It is officially the WB62, which I can get you more technical on what that exactly is. You're questioning my understanding of semi trucks.
Well, a day cab is just a smaller cab, and the other one, and then it only has a single rear axle on the tractor part, whereas some of them have a dual rear axle and a sleeper, and it makes the total truck, even with the trailer, a lot longer.
Shane,
So-
hop up there if you need to.
Does anybody remember how long Conrad said his trailer was?
I believe, this is Shane from the streets department. I believe Conrad has a 53 footer, and then he's got a 30-foot truck. And so 15 feet of it will be underneath the trailer. So you're looking at about 70 some feet. And his trailer could be longer. He could have a 55 footer because he's got a spread axle with a cheater on it. That's just that's a cattle trailer. So those are the guys that are gonna be in and out of there. I've done it. 48 is kind of a hard thing to base off because everything that gets delivered to the streets department or the sewer department or the water department all comes in like a 53-foot van. So.
Well, I'm sure they'll get through there. They would know. Yeah.
Is there a big difference in the price between a 48 foot and a 53 foot?
We'll run the model to
Or,
see
uh,
how the 53-foot fits through there. If it fits, then it's fine. If it's a matter of making the roundabout a little bit wider, that is it's a materials thing to continue to make the roundabout bigger. We'll check it out and make sure
Well,
the
I think we
53
oughta-
can get through.
I think we need to look at that to make sure.
Definitely.
Okay.
Just a heads up, Beth, for the minutes, we appear to have lost Jeff.
Thank you.
So Lindsay, you can model and have the 53-foot illustration available for our next get together with you in a month.
Yes, sir. Definitely we will.
Perfect. I'm in agreement with the consensus of the council that we need, at this point in time, we really should be taking a look at the option for that. The price tag down the road will be minimal compared to the possible abuse we may have to go under.
Perfect. I'm glad we're having this conversation now. That's perfect.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks for presentation and joining us, and take care. We'll see you in a month.
Okay, thank you.
That's a good point, Ryan. Is there any other, before we really let her go, does the council have any other questions for Lynn? Okay.
I don't have a question for Lindsay, but I guess maybe this is for Beth. How are we doing on the existing easements for the wastewater?
I think we're getting close
Any
to
news
having
on
those-
that?
Yeah, I think we're getting close to having those lifted. It looks like everything's above ground. The only thing is Lindsay and I are gonna talk a little bit more about location of that, I think. Just because Shane's let me know that there's a bunch of fill, like concrete and stuff buried under there, so I don't know about our geological research. I don't know if it's gonna work. So we may end up looking at moving it to where the baseball field is on the other side of the wastewater plant. Still in discussion.
Okay.
Hopefully, regardless, we'll close on the Alliant property because it would make a fine place for our yard waste, so. One way or
Okay.
we'll get it closed soon.
Moving on, 7.3, discussion and possible action on engineering agreement with HR Green for Sycamore Street project. Andrew Marsh.
Okay, Andrew has also asked me to unmute Casey, so I'll get them both unmuted.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Andrew Marsh from HR Green. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rebecca. It's Andrew Marsh from HR Green. Thank you for having us on the council agenda this evening. Here with me tonight is Casey Patton. He's our senior project manager, and as you guys very well know by now, I know a lot about water treatment and distribution and storage, but not a lot about streets and sidewalks. So I brought with me Casey Patton, the senior project manager, and he and a couple of our other engineers have been talking with Shane and visiting on improvements that can be made to Sycamore Street from Davis to Williams. And on your council packet this evening is a proposal for addressing those street improvements. And Casey, I'll turn it over to you to explain a little bit about the project and answer any questions from the mayor and council. So Casey, take it away, please.
Thanks, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. My name, again, as Andrew had said, is Casey Patton, and we are looking at Sycamore Street between Davis and Williams. And the major goal of the project will be to address the deteriorating pavement, primarily through a mill and overlay of that block. We'll also replace the curbs on both sides of the roadways. Right now, if you go out there and look, especially on the north side, you'll see that curb is starting to tilt in and lean in. So those curbs definitely need some attention. We'll also address the ADA compliance. So if you notice on the, it's going to be the northwest corner of Sycamore and Williams. There's stairs there right against the street, and we need to make sure that we eliminate those stairs, replace it with an ADA curb ramp, and get you into compliance. We'll also address the steep grade that you see kind of on the north side of Sycamore there, try to make that a little bit more gentler grading between the sidewalk where it's at today and the new curb line. Be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
on A-2, it says it's under the coordination of project stakeholders. Maintain communications with the city of Swisher staff. Can I assume that's an error?
That is an error. I apologize for that.
Good catch. We'll get that corrected. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
You win the prize for reading every page of the agenda and packet. Thank you.
On the corner there of Sycamore and Williams, that northwest corner where the steps are, you're gonna make that ADA compliant. What about the sidewalk going to the west in front of that residence? How will that be addressed?
Yeah, so I think what we've looked at is if you go out there right now, you notice that Sycamore Street on either side of this block that we're talking about is a little more narrower. There's more pavement in this stretch, more pavement than really what you need. So it's more pavement to maintain, more pavement to replace. So our thoughts are to just make that a consistent width all the way through there. That's going to give us, 10 feet or more to be able to reduce that grade through there and allow us to run out that grade by moving the sidewalk a little closer to the street as it gets towards the intersection with Williams.
But what about the existing sidewalk there now that's going toward Williams on Sycamore on that north side? Will that just be eliminated when you come around, or what's that going to be?
No, I think if we're talking about the sidewalk on the north side of Sycamore, there'll be a section of it that'll be replaced, but we'll want to try to maintain it as much as possible.
I didn't know what the slope would have to be or what's the legal being on that.
Yeah, we can run that grade out a little bit by replacing the sidewalk and kind of transitioning it closer to the street as we get to the intersection. As we turn the corner and go north on Williams, obviously that sidewalk will need to be a little bit lower than what it is today. And so we'll have to chase the grade back on the sidewalk anyway on Williams up to pretty much the property line of that property on the corner. It may require us to put a little retaining wall right up next to the sidewalk so that we don't have to grade into that yard.
So the sidewalk going to the north past the Williams and Sycamore intersection, that's going to be left as is, correct? You're just going to meet up with that?
Eventually. So we'll probably have to chase grade back that first property until we get to that point. But once we meet grade, then we won't replace it from there on forward.
Okay.
How are you doing the corner of Ford and Sycamore?
Not toward Davis.
I'm sorry, not Ford, Davis and Sycamore.
So on those corners, we'll try to do the minimum amount that we need just to be able to make you compliant. So what you'll see there is we'd probably just replace the curb ramps and just a little bit of the sidewalk before we can get back to grade.
The one has what, 2 steps going up, raises 2.5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not as difficult to chase back as what I think that one set of stairs on the other side is 4 or 5 steps. It's a pretty traumatic step up there. So,
well, yeah, it's a lot more, but I didn't know what had to be done to make it legal.
Yeah, any place where you're doing resurfacing or any sort of adjustment to the road, you have to bring your curb ramps into compliance. So
I don't have the diagrams in front of me from previous time, but so the plan is on both sides of the street to have a continuous sidewalk from Davis to Williams on both sides of the street. Is that the plan?
Yes, I think on the south side well, I know on the north side our plan is to keep as much of the existing sidewalk as we can. Like I said, there's a spot where we have to transition. the sidewalk that's on kind of the south side, I don't know if it's in really good condition. We didn't show replacing that sidewalk I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. There is a sidewalk on the south side that's on kind of the east half of that block, and that will remain, but it doesn't continue past the driveway that's kind of in the middle. And so we won't extend a sidewalk where there's not a sidewalk today.
That's the west half has the sidewalk.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
It's just basically not, there's only one house that's not in front of, right, John? There's just that last house in the corner, gray house.
Correct. Correct, Jeff.
Correct.
Yeah. It goes the one east of me to their driveway and then it stops.
Is there, I mean, I know it could be a long ways down the road, but I know there's been very casual conversations about in the future connecting a sidewalk all the way to like the 5-way in the schools. If we're in that block, if everywhere else has sidewalk, would it make sense to just add it in or not?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if you do have a future plan in place to add sidewalks, I think while you have a contractor in there and tearing up stuff, a little bit of sidewalk doesn't cost a whole lot more. The only thing that I would caution us against is looking at the grades. I know that it's a little bit of challenge in that area, so we don't want to cut a whole lot and have to chase a driveway grade back all the way to the garage. You know, that would be the worst case, but we definitely need to look at the grades just to make sure it would fit.
Well, I guess if you had a continuous one on the north side, I mean, if we ever went to the east, I mean, you'd have at least connectivity on that side. So
Yeah.
maybe it's not even anything to worry about. But
How much are you narrowing the street?
It's a very small amount. I was trying to measure while we were talking here. It looks to be between 6 feet and 10 feet. So not a tremendous amount. And again, it'll match the same width that you have right now on on either side of Williams or Davis. So it's not like we're going to make this a pinch point, if you will. It'll still be wide enough to pass traffic and still be able to park on one side.
You know, it's a busy street.
Yeah.
Goes to the schools and stuff. I understand narrowing it. It's a lot cheaper, but it's just busy road.
Yeah, I think narrowing is kind of a little bit of a misnomer in this block because for whatever reason, just this one section is extra wide. So really what we're talking about is making it consistent all the way through.
And when you narrow it, are you going to try to get it lined up with the extended streets?
That is correct. Yep. So we don't want to have a little jog in there. We want to make it so that it's just a straight shot through.
Chamber Island Streets Department. For the reason I didn't even suggest the south sidewalk is because if we put a sidewalk in to the 5-way, it'll go on the north side because on the south side, there's so many utility poles.
oh, okay. Good point.
Yeah, we'd have to go around all the utility poles and that would be a nightmare. Where the north side has a couple of fire hydrants and that would be a lot easier to go around if we ever decided to do sidewalk to the 5-way.
One thought I had, so in narrowing this, we're going to be re-cementing the end of the driveways to basically make the grade. That's correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, I don't know, this probably isn't you guys, but as far as like the city goes, I guess maybe giving these people a heads up. I'm just thinking if it were me and I was living there knowing my driveway wasn't that good and that the city was going to do the end, to have time to say, hey, this might be a good time to, do all my driveway, so they can kind of plan for that. I don't know if we're going to send letters or post a notice or something to those. I mean, it's not that many houses, but personally, I
Well,
would.
Technically, it'd only be 3.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I guess you're right.
aren't they?
Well, the alley is, there's nothing, only on the south side.
And Bill
Yeah.
and the alley.
Well, that side, but the south side, the drive to the houses. but mine's good. I appreciate what you said, Jeff.
Yeah,
Be a
I'm
good
just,
time
just
to
a
do it.
thought.
My end of the garage is in good shape. I don't know how
Okay.
it's gonna match up with the new slope though.
Yeah,
What that will do to it.
but the other two houses, I don't even know what kind of shape they're in, or if they'd be interested. But um, it's only two houses. It wouldn't be the worst thing to send them a quick
No.
friendly letter or something. Just, hey, say this could be happening. Just if you were at all interested, it'd be a good time to probably, since there's
Right.
stuff torn up anyway.
And we
Good
want to
idea.
make sure that we involve the homeowners there in the design process as well. So I think we do have a meeting that we would be available if they choose to meet with us. We'd be happy to walk them through what we're thinking. And really the main thing there is to let them know what to expect during construction. There's going to be a time when they're not going to be able to use their driveway, obviously, when it's being poured and cured. So making them aware what that's going to be and how we're going to work around that. I think that's always a critical thing to a success of a project, is just letting folks know what to expect.
I do have a question that isn't in regards to any of that, but when you narrow this street, I don't know if you're doing 4 feet on each side, 5 feet, I'm not sure. But that area that you're going to narrow, I'm assuming you're going to eventually seed it down and put grass in. That area has been compacted for so long. Will it hold and grow grass and be okay? Or what's going to be, is it just going to be a mud pit with water running off the slopes?
Well, we don't want a mud pit. So
No, we don't.
yeah. So to answer your question, we'll keep the south line. The south curb line matches all the way through. So that gives us our straight shot. And so it's the north side that we'll take some pavement out. Again, by taking that pavement out, then we make the north curb lines match. So again, we have a consistent width all the way through on Sycamore Street. Now, when we build that curb up, right, so we're going to add a 6-inch curb on the edge of that pavement, and that's going to give us an opportunity to actually put some fill in there. So hopefully we don't even have to get into the compacted material. Hopefully we're just putting 6, 7 inches, maybe even 10 inches of good black dirt in there that hasn't been compacted, that we can get a really good seed bed going on.
Okay.
We can assume that H&R Green will be conducting various inspections at the various phases of this project to validate workmanship at an acceptable level.
That is correct. I can't recall off the top of my head how many site visits that we had planned out. Typically on a project like this, you'll want somebody there once the demolition has occurred. So once we remove some of that pavement and we get the mill completed, you'd want somebody out there to take a look, make sure there's no soft spots, make sure there's no underlying conditions that need to be addressed before we put a new cap on it. And then really the other critical thing then would be the driveway tie-ins, to make sure before those are poured that we don't have any spots where we're going to create a high center. So we want to try to take a look at that. The other thing too that kind of drives me crazy is sometimes contractors will do is, they'll cut where they think the concrete drive should end, and it'll be a foot away from an existing joint, and they'll leave a foot of old pavement there. And let's just go ahead and do it right, guys. Yeah, it might be a little bit more, but let's get it to that existing joint and make it look nice. So those are kind of the critical moments that I see on street projects like this, that we really need to be there paying attention to what they're doing.
Can you clarify or elaborate in section 4.0, items not included in the agreement, the second to last dot item, verification testing services? What will that consist of if you're conducting the periodic inspections, what would fall within this exclusion?
Yeah, so if for whatever reason, if you decided you wanted to break concrete cylinders, so you know, typically when you have pouring, and again, this is going to be a mill and overlay, so this doesn't really apply. But if you were doing a concrete street, for instance, you may want to take some cylinders, you know, 3 or 4 cylinders where you're going to take it back to a lab and crush, just to make sure that you're getting the strength that you want on that concrete. Again, in this case with a mill and overlay, it's not that critical. We may want to take some cylinders on the driveways. You know, that's really up to you. In my experience, we really just do cylinders on, you know, mainline pavement. If we were doing some significant earthwork out there, and what I mean by that is if we were going to pull up the entire road bed and get down into that existing subgrade, we may want to do some testing on that dirt to make sure that it was stable enough for a new construction. But again, we're looking at a mill and overlay, so your testing needs are pretty limited on this project. You know, honestly, the only thing I can see is if we wanted to do some cylinders, and you know, that's not going to be too much if we decide to go that route.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
You bet.
Well, Council, you posed a lot of great questions to the H&R Green team. Is there anything additional? Any public comment at this time? Beth, is this where we would accept this agreement as it's submitted? Okay. If there's no further discussion, can we have a motion to accept the agreement as it's been
So
submitted?
moved.
Thanks, Rich. I will second. Okay, we have a motion by Rich, second by Alan to accept the agreement with HR Green as outlined and submitted before us. If there's no other questions, comment, or further discussion, I will ask Beth to conduct a roll vote.
Caper,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes,
Crump.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Andrew, Casey, thank you for being with us tonight, presenting. Excellent job in the details you provided and in addressing the questions the council had.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with you.
Likewise. 7.4, discussion and possible action on dump truck purchase agreement. Shane Brown, Street Superintendent.
Hello, Shane Brown here, Street Superintendent. I believe Beth put the 2 trucks in your packet. We went and had 4 trucks that we looked at. And we've got it down to these 2 because they were the closest one in the 2 prices. The other ones, they did not want to work with us on a trade. So therefore they were out. Because I was trying to keep it fairly reasonable, yet we're still going to get a good truck for the month. We got it down to the International and a Freightliner. We currently have 2 Freightliners already. The guys like it, but the cab is a little hard to get in and out of, which the International has a lot better door. You can get in and out of it for safety reasons, and it's a little nicer truck. We currently have 8 International tractor or not dump truck. The sweeper that we have is an International. And so the cab is nice to get in and out of and handy. Freightliner was a little cheaper, but they're going to be. That's just the way they do things. They build them so they're not so expensive. But International was just a nice second pick. Pretty nice to work with too on all this. Being as this is my first time of getting to do a bid out and stuff, I thought that International did a great job. He's been out to see me a lot. Freightliner, just talked to him over the phone. So it don't matter to me. It's up to you as a council to decide what truck you want. There's a $2,279 difference in value between the two. Freightliner's at $61,456 and International's at $63,735. And this comes with warranties, which we've never gotten warranties before. And which is kind of makes me nervous with these new engines and with the DEF and stuff, that lots can go wrong. And I just want to make sure that we're not spending extra money out of budget because we have to fix an engine because we didn't have the warranty, sorry. So I'm just proposing these two trucks. Like I said, it's up to you. And then I have an agreement from Henderson also on what it's going to cost for the box.
So Shane, as far as the two quotes or bids as we have them before us, they're basically identical in warranty, product.
Yep.
You said that there was a $2,200 difference with the International being the higher side of the two. You had touched on entrance and exiting from the cab itself as a safety issue.
Yeah.
Is it a safety issue or is it just slightly more user friendly?
The International is more user friendly. The Freightliner, to get in and out of it, the door is kind of cut like an L shape, where the International is straight across, so you have more footing. That's what I like better. I didn't get a say in the other two trucks. So when we're looking at trucks, I'm looking for safety to get in and out of. If the Freightliner does not have it, I'll take whatever, I guess. It doesn't matter to me. But for a bigger person like yourself, to have more footing to get in and out means a lot more to me, $2,200, than to have you slip and mess.
And that's what I was attempting to allude to. So if again, I'm not trying to question it, just
nope.
If it is a safety factor, the individual climbing in and out, $2,200 is good money spent. As your workforce gets a little older, climbing in and out of anything
that's right. Gets tougher.
Challenging at times, yes. So
yep.
I truly understand that the International may be the better buy when you play the safety card.
Right. And that's what I want to. I want it safe for if Galen jumped in it or John would jump in it, or somebody like that I don't have to worry about them. They've got a nice big entrance versus a knocked down version.
Sounds to me like that you're trying to get them to come out of retirement.
No, he's saying we're old today.
I'm getting that way too.
It's the old part.
So the other thing I want to tell you too is right now, Freightliner, to get this thing built and to the truck shop, not even to get the box built, is September now. And the international, we can have the first of, end of July, 1st of August. And then they said it would be 6 weeks at Henderson to get it to us. So I guess what I'm trying to say tonight is the longer we wait, the longer it'll be in the fall before we get it. And so if you want it before Christmas, we probably should get at, or if you don't care and it's after Christmas, then we'll just wait.
Is Thompson truck, that out of Cedar Rapids too?
Yeah, yep, they're right off of 6th Street, brand new building.
That was gonna be my question as far as if we had service issues, but if they're both in Cedar Rapids, it's the
Yeah,
same.
they're a quarter of a mile apart.
And this is gonna be a dumb question, but it's got an international motor, right?
No, it's got a Cummins.
In the international?
hmm Both of them, both trucks would have Cummins engines.
Cummins is good.
Yep.
So if one versus the other, have you seen any customer service issues, or they're both
They
good to
both,
work with?
we can work with both of them. It doesn't really matter. We're at Freightliner now with a lot of the trucks, but
What do you have down there now, Shane, for international Freightliner? Or
we got, well, those Sterlings are Freightliners. So we have 4 Freightliners and an international, which would be 2 Sterlings, which they are technically Freightliners.
Okay.
But we have 2 newer Freightliners. I just don't like the way the cab's set up. It's just so hard to get in and out of,
Yeah.
especially a long day of being in it. It's hard to get in and out of.
What's the international you have left?
What?
What's the international you have left? Is that the one that,
The sweeper.
oh, okay.
And it has the same cab design, except for it's a little newer.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
well, And then it has the dual drive.
Well, this won't, but
I know, but.
I don't need you driving the dump truck when I'm trying to drive it. So
No. I see you got to plow that bad a shape, or is that just the way you order them?
yeah, it's just the way you order them, because by the time you have beat and bang this one for 13 or 14 years, you're starting to show wear cracks.
Yeah. Now, are them poly or are they solid?
They're solid steel.
Because I know we tried them a while when I was there, the poly, and they cracked, and the guy from Henderson said, well, you're the only guys ever cracked them. I don't think we're that bad a driver here in Anamosa, unless we're the only ones that ever ordered it.
I don't know anything about that, but I have heard that you guys had to put and take signs and bend them and weld them in.
No, they were poly. You weren't gonna weld on them.
Well,
They
you
were
did
just-
something with some signs.
The theory was they were lighter when you had the blade up. It wasn't so much weight on the front end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
they're making these pretty beefy now on the front end,
Yeah.
so that'll take a lot of this wear and tear.
I see this has got a mailbox cut out. Is that
No,
something?
if
new?
you want to.
I know, but is that something new?
No, they've had it. Would you like it? We could add that. I mean,
know, but
right now, the guy that's gonna drive it, don't get close to the mailboxes. Me, on the other hand, I probably got 5 or 6 to replace. I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
mouth shut. I'm on the council, but you guys got 2 of my mailboxes.
Well, that would be me.
That's a good thing, Alan. He's back to the curb.
Well, it tells me they're cutting the curb. Well, that means I'm too close to the curb then.
No,
Back
but
to
they should plow to the curb. Shane's doing it the correct way.
Actually, what's happening, I think, is it's just all that snow.
Push
It's
it.
got to go someplace, and the mailbox isn't as strong as that pile of snow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the plow that you talked about are they interchangeable from truck to truck?
Yep.
Or do you have to marry the truck with?
Nope. We could put it on any truck we wanted.
Is there any
So-
difference in trade-in or resale value between the two? Say 10 years down or 5 years down or whatever?
So the International will be a better trade-in than the Freightliner. We're finding this out now. The truck I want to trade has got a Mercedes engine on it. If it did not have that Mercedes engine, I could get 5,000 more bucks.
Thank you.
So
Right now.
Shane,
Yes,
Which one of these did you do a government bid on?
None of these are, this is just a government bid through them. They don't technically do that, but they give you the lowest price.
What do you mean they technically don't do that?
Well, they don't go through like the DOT. When they price it low. So that way
They're competitive.
they're competitive with the DOT. But they don't work with the DOT, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They just price it to get it down there.
No, we get our salt and stuff through the DOT. Would there be any option of like doing on this level, like using the DOT and buying it through them? Would there be any more cost savings to do that?
I don't think so.
Usually,
I don't believe the county's doing that. I think they're just buying it through MAC.
usually they just match the state bid, and that's what we do with the salt too.
Yeah.
Like the state isn't involved in our purchase. They just allow us to piggyback off their pricing. And usually with vehicles, that's what the dealerships do. They just give you the state price. It's not technically ordered through the state.
Well, and okay, I'll buy that, but like our purchase policy states, when applicable, government bid is available, that bid shall be considered
Right. So
as one of the required quotes. So should we get a government bid to at least compare or to
So
make sure that
the government bid thing is a little misleading. So when Jim bought the truck for the water department, we get the state bid price. They're still giving Shane the state bid price. You just aren't the state, so you're not buying it like through their, 100 truck purchase. You're still getting the pricing.
So there's no difference.
It's not any different.
Yeah.
So we're just able to buy one truck instead of 50. So like the salt we sign the agreement with the state saying that, yes, we want X amount of salt, but that we don't actually interact with the state at all with the salt. We buy it directly from Cargill. They just match the state price when we buy it. Same with Jim's truck. McGrath just matched the state price. Because they still have to go through a dealership.
Okay, well, it's good to know. I was like Rich, I thought maybe state bid or yours here about was better price, but if that's the way they do it.
Yeah, so like computers, we had looked at replacing some computers through state bid. You still just go through Dell and say, I want X amount of computers and here's my government ID. Still tax exempt and it's still the same pricing. It's just, we don't actually get it through the state. We get it through the computer company. They just agree to match the price.
So in what they're doing then is they're matching the state price, otherwise they wouldn't get the sale.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
I can understand what they're doing because if they won't sell it to us for what the state gets it for, we can just go through the state.
Right,
So
exactly.
in the long run, we would get it at the state price.
Right.
And the advantage to that is we will have the trucks for a certain period of time. And they're ensuring that they'll get business from us if something breaks down. It's kind of a, I help you, you help me.
Right. You still have to have the dealership involved.
Yeah.
Because the state gets their trucks through a dealership. So they just negotiate the price like from the manufacturer so that you still get it through the dealership at the manufacturer price that's been negotiated. So like Dell, you
Yeah.
don't get it through Best Buy, you get it through, Dell sends it to you directly because it's small, but the salt, Cargill provides the salt, but you could get it from Cargill from a different place. It just happens that that was our closest supplier.
So do we ever check to make sure that they're actually following that process or that procedure? Just
Yeah,
to, you know,
we can go on the Department of Management and look it up, I guess, but the dealership usually knows what they're selling you. Same
well, I
with,
mean,
with
just to
Jim's.
keep them honest once in a while, I think that'd be a good practice to do.
Yeah, I think they would be an honest price, but like Rich said, wouldn't hurt sometimes just to see if
Was
they're
it just a
saying
phone
it
call?
is.
No, it's a website you go to and
Website?
yeah, it's a event.
How many miles this one got on it, Shane? Do you have any idea?
The new one? The
No,
40
new one don't have too many.
41.
41. That's the
Well,
one
I
you had.
know,
This one had a lot of problems with.
I
Yep.
know last year when we discussed this, we said to look into a used truck. Because we had this whole discussion a year ago.
Right.
And that's fine. I'll just keep what I got because I'm not buying another used one. Because I already know what I have. I mean, if the motor goes out of this one, it'll be worth more than the truck's worth. And that's the same way with another used one. And that one that Dan got from the sewer department's been over at the shop and been at our shop. I mean, they're used trucks. It's like buying a used car at a car dealership. You don't know. You pull out of that parking lot and it kick over right there. You know, that's just the way it is. But I've got to
Well,
use.
and I get that, Shane. I get that. But I'm just going to go off of what Al said a year ago. You know, we can buy a used truck at 50,000 and spend $4,000 a year for 10 years and still be less than what you're looking at. I mean, that's what Al said last year.
Okay, well, I wasn't in on the whole realm, and we'll just keep what we got then. I mean, it doesn't hurt for me to talk to you people. I mean, I'm here to try and save you money. And if I can save you the $4,000 a year, that's the route we need to go to. Because I'm trying to save you money on salt and sand and everything else. And I'm doing a pretty good job at that right now. I found a product that's working pretty good for us. It's a third the price for on these streets.
And I appreciate that.
And I'm saving you a ton of money. And I'm going to
Shane, I
save you a ton of
appreciate
money
that.
this summer. I'm
I
not
don't
going
want
to get mad though. Here's the thing.
I don't want to turn this into a confrontation.
A new truck is going to save you $4,000 a year for 5 years because it's not going to spend $4,000 on a new truck. You don't have to do tires. You don't have to do brakes. You don't have to have big engine bills. You're going to have a warranty. Right now, if that truck breaks down, if that motor goes out of that truck that I want to trade today, the motor's 30 grand. The truck is worth 22. Right now, trade-in is 22. You put a motor in it, that truck is not worth that motor. If that transmission goes up, that's 12 grand. 12 grand to rebuild it. I know this and I want to save you that 12 grand. I want to save you that 30 grand. You take this truck in another 5 years or another 4 years, you'll give it away for $1,000. I'm trying to get you the maximum dollars of trade right now. Last year, you tried to trade this. He was going to get 27,000. We're going to get, if you go with the Freightliner, they'll give you 22. So they've already taken 5,000 off of it. Next year, they'll take another 5 off. And I had to beg and plead for one company. I wanted their truck instead of these trucks. But he would only give me $12,000 for it. So now you got a truck.
It's a good argument.
I'm just telling you that I'm going to save you $4,000 a year for the next 5 years. Because I won't have to put tires on it. I won't have to do any major work to it. It's covered. It's the warranty on these things is gonna be $21.90 on one of them. And I think this one here was like $18.90. That gives you a warranty for 100,000 miles or 60 months. But like I said, I'm gonna do whatever you wanna do. It's the city's money. It's not my money. This is just what I think that down the road, I'm gonna save you money on me or the guys or whatever. Shop bills is 160 an hour.
Hey, Rich, question.
Yes.
I know you and I talked a lot about this at one of the meetings. If he saves us 20,000, and I mean, we don't see the money, but it's saved. I mean, I kind of understand his argument. That cost on the Sterling, a motor is $30,000,
That's what I said.
correct?
Yep.
That's what he said. Yep.
So if you take 20 off of the 63 by saving that money and not putting it in the truck that we've got a fairly inexpensive truck. I'm just trying to think outside the box here. Because you know, I'm pretty tight that way. I just,
Well,
I'm just, he's
I
got a
have
good
no
argument.
problem.
Got a good point.
I have no problem with Shane's argument about this. I just want to be consistent that we asked the question last year.
Yeah,
We proceeded with it that way. If we didn't ask the question this year and proceed with the question, in my mind, we would be hypocrites.
oh, I absolutely agree with you. I'm just trying to decide whether Shane's got a good enough point for me to kind of step back from a little bit of what I've said last year.
Well, and like I said, I don't want this to become confrontational, but I
Yeah.
get the impression at times Shane wants it to become confrontational, and I'm not going there. I'm
Yeah.
just asking the question like we were consistently asking last year.
How old's our next oldest truck, Shane? Like, how long would it be before we'd have to look at another? Like, this one's a 07, you said?
Yeah, and the next one's an 09, so not next year, but the following year.
Are they kind of staggered? Then we have like an 11 and a 13. I mean, is that kind of how it goes every 2 years?
Yeah. Yep. So right now we have I believe it's a 14 and then a 19. And then this would be the next one would be a 21, 22, 21, I guess.
So right now we have this is the oldest one. If you take that away, then you have an 09, and you said like a 14, and
Yep.
and what? Okay.
A 17, I believe, 17 or 18.
So once you get past the 09, then you got a decent gap to it. The next newer one.
Right. Yep.
Have you been having any problems with the 09?
Hmm. They both been on the hook this year.
Now, which one is that?
Jeff's old one. That Sterling with the flip up box. Lots of electrical. I'm having the electrical is just getting to be
Well,
more electrical than
I wasn't impressed with the Sterlings to begin with. They seemed like they were built cheaply.
Mhm.
Didn't you last year just have to replace all the interior wiring in that thing?
No, they did in the 09 they had to put a new dash in it because it had cracked. And they found an aftermarket one and had it put in it, Freightliner.
Mhm.
Well, I certainly appreciate Rich generating a discussion on the used vehicle because we have had it in the past.
Mhm.
Also appreciate him pointing out about governmental bid because it is part of our purchasing policy. So, Rich is doing what we need to do as a council, to have those discussions, make sure we're meeting our own requirements per se.
I don't think in terms.
And I don't think Shane Rich is being confrontational at all. He's been elected to look at it from that side, that angle. And that's what, whether I'm sitting here or not, I would expect him to do.
I didn't want it to be confrontational. That's not who I am,
Sure.
but I want you to know the facts. The facts are what I just told you.
I do think that it wouldn't be a bad idea, just for our own peace of mind, just to go on the website and see what they have as far as pricing there. Rich has got a point there. We've made that decision. There's no sense us setting aside. I think if we find out that it's the same, there's really not a problem. But we need to know. So I think we should at least do that. As far as, go ahead.
Well, no, I said one more thought. I'm not swayed one way or the other, but just in thinking out loud, if you go on like the car equivalent, you know, you buy cars that are 1 or 2 years old that have a warranty, like the, you know, GM certified. Is there that equivalent out there that's a lightly used, a year or something old that still has a warranty, or does that not exist in the plow world?
I haven't really seen anything, and I've been looking. I've been hunting on my phone,
Okay.
and there's 5 and 6 year old ones, you know.
That's they're not gonna have a warranty. I just think of, you know, like the dealerships for cars and stuff, you see a lot of 1 and 2 year olds that still have a warranty or whatever, but that's just a thought in my head is all.
Yeah, I've been looking. I've been on the hunt.
So let me ask this question. This just thought came to my mind. Is there a program like the police department has for their police cars that we lease it, they maintain or have warranty for it?
I don't know. I guess I didn't approach that. Maybe they will.
I don't know. I was just asking the question if there is such a program.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we've had again, very good discussion on this agenda item. I think what's before us tonight, we either move forward with purchasing of this vehicle, one of these two, or we table it for 2 weeks to get some of the questions answered, or at least have different vision of those. I get, Shane, time is somewhat of an essence, but it's, you know, we're not in an emergency state right now. Not trying to influence the council what to do, just giving you the options that I think are before us on this agenda.
Did you find the cost on that?
I don't know that you can actually call someone and just like, there's no way to look up just a state bid for a truck. It goes through a dealership. The city of Cedar Rapids currently has a request for bidders. So they're doing the same thing Shane just did, went and got prices. So it's for a tandem axle dump truck. So no.
I don't know, would it be comparable, Beth? Like if you called up the Cedar Rapids City Hall and, you know, ask where their bids are coming in? I mean, if it's in the same.
They're sealed. The city of Cedar Rapids does a sealed bid.
Okay, once they're open, we would know then. Is there a date when they'll be opened?
Also on that, they're going to be buying probably 20, 30 trucks, where we're only buying one.
There might be a little advantage to their doing that.
Yep, because they'll get a fleet cost.
Yeah.
Well, and frankly, this price should be a fleet cost as well, because it's usually negotiated. Anyway, yeah.
Not gonna get much information off of it. Then.
No, because it's still, you're still gonna have to go through someone who sells the truck.
Mhm.
So like, you can't just call the DOT and say, hey, we need a dump truck, will you order us one with yours? It doesn't work that way. They order their trucks specifically orange and with their equipment and et cetera. But
Yeah.
like the government bid vehicle just means that they agree to match the pricing. It's through the dealership though.
Shane, out of curiosity, was that third one you said that you didn't consider because they weren't going to give us much for trade? Was it still in there at that like 60, the whatever, the $65,000 ballpark, or 62 to 65 in there, or was it
Mm.
higher?
It was 85.
And they're only gonna give us 12. Ooh.
Yep, that's why he got thrown out.
Okay.
Well,
I'm giving you the two. I gave you the two here. Thompson is going to give us 20,000 for trade, and Freightliner will give us 22 for trade.
Which is the difference in the two. The
Yep.
two overalls.
Yep, two overalls. Yep,
Can I ask what brand the other one was?
Kenworth.
Kenworth. So,
And we looked at a Mac, and they were at 95
yeah, I was gonna
with no
say,
trade.
yeah. The Mac and the Kenworth are gonna be a lot more.
But I gave them a chance, and they
Wow.
just, I tried to do my homework to where I just didn't narrow it down to two trucks. I got a bid from Mac, I got a bid from Kenworth International and Freightliner. I also tried Peterbilt and they didn't call me back.
They don't wanna mess with.
So
I-
it's not like I just jumped out into the street and said, here's what I want to do.
I know.
I appreciate your efforts there. I do have another question for you, Shane,
Yep.
from Henderson. It says that this quote is valid for 30 days, but I don't see a quote date on it. Is there another page to this thing, or?
I don't think so, but he said this was the quote when you guys sign it, this is what he'll give it to us for.
Okay,
Because he knows the whole process. We're not the first city to do this. So this was the first year quote. He said it may be less than this, but this is where they've got to be right now.
okay. Well, I just didn't know if there was another page and they had the quote date on it, or?
No, the only thing the other page had on it was the specs of the last box we got from them would be the same as this box. So that way
Okay.
we can keep everything the same. That way we don't have, if we have an issue, we can move parts from one truck to another truck.
Okay.
Come in blue.
The truck, yes, the truck will be blue. The box will be what do they call that? Cream gray. Yep, just like what we have now.
You say this Sterling it's worth around 20 or 22. I was just thinking out loud, just throwing this out. If Shane was to buy a used truck, my guess is they would probably not take the trade, or if they did, we would hardly get anything for it. So bang for the buck, we're probably better off. I'm thinking probably better off doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some
What do you
small
think?
community might buy it, but I'm
Yeah.
okay buying this new. But like I said, we just got to ask the questions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this: are we doing truck and Henderson, or just the chassis at this time?
It's whatever you want to do. You could do the truck tonight and then We just have to come up with the money when the truck gets here for Henderson.
So the Henderson is the back end, the box, and all like the sander and the plow and everything.
Yep. So you get the box, the sander, and the plow for that money for the 65.
Is this okay? Now, how would this affect the tree? Like hypothetically, if would this even be an option to like, you said the plows get wear and tear. So say we get a new plow, but we kept the dump box and the sander. Is that even would that even work? Would that even make sense?
Then you don't get a trade.
Then you don't get then okay.
So you're trading a whole truck. You're trading the whole
Oh,
truck, like
okay.
plow, sander, box.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you got 50,000 last year to look for a used one,
62.
62.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically paying for the chassis.
Yep.
So you just,
What did we budget for this year for the rest?
We budgeted 130 something, didn't we, for
Yep.
a new truck for 2022?
But
Yep.
if we had the 62 sitting there, we wouldn't have needed. We won't need all that. You only need half that.
That's what I was saying at the budget meeting about reassessing or reassigning it, but
Yeah,
They're not gonna be able to get you, we're not gonna get the truck until July, so there's no,
Okay.
we can't put the money in a suitcase and wait or anything like that. So it's better just to let the money stay in road use and then budget for it for July.
Yeah.
okay.
It is money in road use tax, so it's not like it goes back to the general fund. It stays in road use.
okay. And so the international is the one you want, is that right?
I'll do whatever you want to do.
Preference, correct?
The preference I have is the international, but
That's what Rich
up
asked.
to the council, you can pick because it's not up to me. I just gave you the safety aspect of the book.
But the one thing I go by, Shane, especially, is what you feel is right for the city and for the street department. It does carry weight.
Well, for $2,200, I don't see a major difference between them. If it was $10,000, that might be a different discussion point.
Yeah.
But for
Agreed.
$2,200, I'll make the motion to get the international and approve the Henderson equipment at this point in time.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay, we have a motion by
You're
Rich,
welcome, Pete.
by Alan to proceed with the international truck and the Henderson quote for the box, plow, and accessories. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Beth, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Crump,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes,
Stout,
Yes.
Capron,
yes.
Motion carried unanimous. 8.0, new business. 8.1, discussion and possible action on drafting an ordinance amending parking to one side of West Walnut between Iowa and Locust Streets. Shane Brown, Street Superintendent.
Hello, Shane Brown again. We're having some issues down there between Iowa Street and Locust Street on West Walnut. What's happening is the cars are parking right across from each other and we can't get the truck and the plow down through it. So we're having to vacate and not plow it until they move. It's been an issue for a couple years, but this year, for whatever reason, they're parking right across from each other and the guys don't feel comfortable going down through there. And roughly, I went down through there the other day with the the little tonner and the plow, and I backed out. So, the people on the south side of the road, they have driveways, they're not using them. The people on the north side of the road, they don't have driveways. So if we would do this, it would be no parking probably, I would say, on the south side of the road and try and make those people use their driveways. It's just becoming a safety issue. I don't know why it's happening, but it is. And we don't need any accidents or more accidents or. So it wouldn't be done anyway till spring because there's no way we can put a post in the ground now, but it's just something for you to think about.
Honestly,
kind of-
I think. Oh, sorry, Shane. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say this is a really good point actually, and I take care of this, but I think it's something we might take a look at. I mean, for this reason, I don't think there's anywhere in town that you would really need to have parking allowed on both sides because you run into this. I know there's a lot of intersections, especially with the snow, and I can think of several examples. But anytime you have two roads kind of with the intersection there, at least parking within the vicinity of that intersection you're entering, I think there should be no parking because you come around the corner and there's a car parked there, and then with the snow, somebody comes and whoop, you got an accident then. So, I mean, I think this is good. This is something we need to do, but there might be other places we need to look at too because I think you have to have a pretty good argument for there be a reason to have parking allowed on both sides of the street, just for because otherwise, if it's a busy street or any street really, you're having to stop and alternate. So that's kind of a side note from this, but
This has been a
Shane?
bad snow day.
Yeah,
Shane, do you
Go
have
ahead.
any problem with the rest of West Walnut Street going up? Because I know from Locust Street on up to the courthouse, sometimes that can get kind of hairy too.
it can, but we're not having any issues up there. The only issue I'm having is right
Yeah.
between those two blocks.
Okay,
For whatever reason, I have
Okay.
no.
I went through there today with my side by side and it was just barely wide enough for it
Mhm.
today.
Yeah,
So,
well, was it plowed?
yeah, it was plowed. As best as it could be,
Yeah.
but it was plowed.
I mean, there probably is more places in town, but this is the one that's catching our eye right now. For whatever reason, these people have driveways and they're not using them. I have no idea why. And I think it's a lot with the chiefs probably seeing a lot of it too, but we're seeing it because the guys call me and go, we can't plow.
Well,
So then we wait for the phone calls,
Well, and, to paint this a little broader, not just city plow trucks. We also could be faced with this very same issue with emergency vehicles. If there's a fire trying to get into there, granted, you sure you can access from two sides, but are you going to get to the point of the issue of the matter that calls you in? So,
I agree because you get all the snow and you're never going to get it all the way to the curb. And if you park both cars, which there's snow there, and then people don't know how to park, when there's snow, and then they're not touching the snow. So you take that in the equation and have two cars on either side of any given street. And I don't think on a 30-foot wide street, taking that much room, you wouldn't get a fire truck or something through. So,
We ever asked them to use their driveways?
That's the hood down there.
what's that?
I
That's
just
not-
asked the question if they've
haven't.
been asked to use driveways.
I have not approached that. I figured they just didn't care, wanted to park on the street. I was just gonna give them a reason not to.
Were there driveways dug out?
I don't know. I don't get to go down there.
No.
So Beth, this would have to go through 3 readings?
Correct.
Okay,
Chief
so,
White. Sorry, go ahead, Rich. I thought you were finished.
well, I was gonna say, so when you're saying possible action, you're just asking for approval to draft the ordinance then to start the 3 readings?
Chief, do you have anything that you could add what your group has seen or any other details on the area?
I don't have anything further to add. We're not really seeing this kind of issue, at least not there, because we're not doing that job. But I don't have any issues with that one side of the street parking. And I think several good points have been brought up as well as Jeff's, just in general, all throughout town. There's places like that where we're seeing you have to alternate, wait your turn, and it can get kind of cramped.
Okay, thanks. So if we go ahead with this, Beth, is this where we set the details of the ordinance, or can
No.
we have that discussion yet at that time?
This would just be that we draft the ordinance change.
Okay.
And so I'll talk to Patrick.
So
and
whether it
make
be
sure
on
we
the
can set
south
that.
side or the north side, we would not have to decide that like
Well,
prior to the ordinance, or?
that would no, actually, that'd probably be a good idea to
Okay,
make it,
Mhm.
to draft it with
as we want
south
it
side
stated.
only parking or, something like that.
So do you want a motion
If
at
you
this
want-
point?
Yes,
Well,
Rich,
I'll make the motion to draft an ordinance to amend the parking on, no parking on the south side of West Walnut between Iowa and Locust.
Second.
a motion by Rich, second by John. Any further discussion? Any public comment at this time? Beth, will you go ahead and conduct the roll call?
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Motion to draft that ordinance carried unanimously. 8.2, review and approval of liquor license ownership update for Casey's General Stores, number 2690 and number 2908.
Do we
Move
have
to
to?
approve.
I think that was Rich.
Yes, I'll second it.
A motion by Rich, second by Kay. Any further discussion? Beth?
Smith,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimous. 8.3, review and approval of liquor license renewal for Walmart.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Alan,
Second.
motion by Alan, second by Galen. Any further discussion? Beth?
Crump,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Motion carried unanimous. 8.4, review and approval of the January 2021 Treasurers Report.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Kay, second by John. Any further discussion?
I got a question, if I could. Does the LMI doesn't show up on this report?
no. LMI is just part of the, it's not separate, it's just part of TIP.
Okay.
It's in that fund, but it's not a separate fund.
Is it a standard percentage at any given time of that, or how's, not really?
It comes as, so throughout the year, I have a sheet where I keep track of our TIP payments from the county. And they're all individually labeled for which part of the increment goes to where.
Okay.
And
So
so
there's a,
only-
so for the, excuse me, so for this TIF amount, there's a further breakdown then of various
oh yeah, so this TIF
allocations.
right, so it pays debt service, so you have a bond that it's paying. Each district pays part of the bond. It's all aggregated into this one number. So it's building up to pay that bond payment in June.
Okay,
So it's probably I think it's $280,000 in June. And then also it's gonna pay the rebate amounts for Fairway. So yeah, it's allocated. So you ask for specific amounts from the county for that
okay.
annually.
But
So
the L-
at once a year, could we get a breakdown of that, or 2 times a year or something? Easy or not?
It's actually in the report I do every December. It's the
Okay.
TIF report or the TIF report, and then there's also one that goes to the county. So yeah, both of those are in the December packet usually, or November.
so
They're
that
due
would,
to-
Okay,
that would have been in the December packet if we look
Yep.
back, or,
It
okay.
should have been the November packet because it's due December 1st.
under the treasurer's report, or is it a specific report in there?
It'll be separate. It'll be
A specific item.
yeah, let me make sure which one.
If you have that, could you just send that one document out to us again, maybe?
Yeah, I can do that.
But like the LMI, that only accumulates from TIF agreements on like residential developments, that there's no LMI component to commercial, is that correct?
There is not. It's
Okay, so
only
it's only on residential type projects, okay.
right. So it's only really pulled a small amount of an increment off of Meadow Ridge 8. Because 9 and 10 have not been on the tax rolls at all yet. That it'll be
Okay.
2 years before they'll even participate in anything. So 8, 8 is the one that's contributing to the Meadow Ridge amount at the current time. So those are the only residentials we have that contribute to the LMI amount. So it's just not a lot of money yet.
Yeah.
Right now, they're still paying a lot of debt, so it goes to the debt first.
Okay.
Recap. There's a motion by Kay, second by John to approve the treasurer's report. Any other questions? Beth?
Smith,
Yes.
Capron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Motion to accept the treasury report carried unanimous. 8.5, review and approval of current bills.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rich and second by Alan. Any discussion on the itemization? Any public comment? Beth?
Capron,
Yes.
Stout,
Yes.
Zumba,
Yes.
Lockhart,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Crump,
Yes.
Motion to pay bills carried unanimous. 9.0, city administrators report.
So we've been working on the implementation for the accounting system. We have payroll and general ledger that are moving along right now, should be up in June and running. Utility billing will be done by November, is what they've given me for a calendar right now. Our audit was postponed, so it'll be not next week, but the week after. Budget forms, I do have everything filled in and complete, so look for that on the next agenda to set the public hearing for the budget. I still haven't gotten a firm answer back from Alliant for utility poles. Though I did ask Bryce when I was talking to him, what they average run when he puts them in a subdivision. He thought they were around $5,000, so I did add that 15,000 for the 3 lights, wherever they end up going, into the budget number. That's about it.
The audit, is that intended to take about approximately 2 weeks to complete, or?
The audit.
Yeah,
So it will be, well, we've been working on it since August, just intermittently. So they'll ask for some documents because they won't be coming to on-site. It's all virtual. So it's a pretty intense, about 10 days of audit where there'll be a lot of uploading whatever they ask for.
scrambling to get what they want.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been trying to front load everything, so maybe the 2 weeks won't be quite as much, but
Yeah.
who knows?
Also have any questions for Beth? For that report, Beth? 10.0 Mayor and Council Reports, 10.1 Mayor's Report, nothing at this time. Just hoping Shane and his group have conducted their last street cleaning for the season, because like everybody else, I'm tired of it, trying to go away. 10.2 Council Reports.
Library meeting was very routine, as I remember.
I made it past today. The sun was out and snow was melting fast, and I thought I'd see a roof.
You ready to get up there?
I did not see a roof yet.
That means the insulation's pretty good.
It'll happen soon.
It will. I hope so.
Anything else from the councils? 11.0 Public comment for items not on the agenda. Rebecca, do you have anybody raising their hand?
I do not.
Okay. 12.0 Adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Motion by John, second by Alan. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion to adjourn carried unanimously. Good
Hey.
meeting.
Can I ask a real quick question?